Thank you so much for watching Riff TV. Now, this interview is obviously with video, but I don't interview everybody on Zoom. That's why I put it on my Talkin' Rock with Meltdown podcast. We talk to rock artists from all over the genre. So check out Talkin' Rock with Meltdown wherever you get your podcasts. And now to today's video interview.
And there they are, my two friends. How are you guys?
What up? Hey, man, we'll be better when we see you in like a week.
Okay, that's right. Yeah, District 142 coming up here in Wyandotte on Monday with the Snafu tour. How's everything going on that tour?
It's snafu, man. You know, it's going good actually. Drowning Pool. It's crazy because I was just telling somebody, CJ is the first guy I met when I first got in Saliva 12 years ago, and he hasn't changed a bit. He still looks the exact same.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, you haven't gained a pound, lost a pound. It's like,
got a couple more piercings, maybe.
Yeah.
The beardo got a little bit longer, but that's about it.
yeah, it still looks the exact same. And just love being with those guys, man. They're great, just great. They understand, like, it's kind of the same mindset of the grind and touring and going out there, coming from the same era. You know, it's been awesome.
Yeah, road dogging it for sure. Adelita's Way, and what's the other band? Any Given Sin?
Any Given Sin. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So like I said, District 142, that's coming up. You guys were supposed to play there. We'll get to that here in a few minutes. But Revelation came out. So tell everybody about the album.
And the album is out. It came out last Friday or week and a half ago, and 12 songs. Spent almost 3 years making the record. Well, early 2020 to when it was released, almost 3 years. And man, a lot of memories, a lot of really, really positive things that went into it, especially with Wayne. And I can still remember some of those songs in particular, like him in the room, we were tracking them, things he said, funny stuff like that. And so it obviously, this record is near and dear to my heart for sure. And but I'm just glad that it's out, because it felt like it was never going to come out, dude. It was just kept on and on and on and on. We kept pushing it back, and but yeah, now it's out, and it's everyone's seems to love what they hear, and all the messages and the response has been great.
Except that one guy.
Yeah, the one guy. Yeah.
There's always one, right? There's
always one guy.
Yeah. So was this record finished when Wayne passed?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
it's turned in and all. Like when we had the first round of vinyl was already in motion, and then when he passed, it was like, well, crap. We wanted to do something, to honor him. Once we realized, hey, is when he passed, I was like, are we even going to put this out? Like, what are we? I don't even know what we're going to do, and then getting with his family and stuff, and we're like, no, we have to put this out, so then we made sure, like, the CDs, like, we redid the artwork on the back, and the CDs were done, but the next round of vinyl will have him on the back too. But the first press that went out, it takes like 5 or 6 months for vinyl to be made.
I know.
Unless you know somebody.
Yeah, right. You're gonna have vinyl at the show on Monday?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay. All right, good. I gotta grab a copy of that on vinyl for sure. Yeah, it was on that day that you guys were supposed to talk to me in this very room, and I texted you guys, and I'm like, hey, are you guys hopping on? And Bobby called me, and I could just tell in your voice that something wasn't right. And and of course, we all know what happened. But it's crazy. But you guys just posted, and I don't know who takes care of your socials, but that's a really cool backdrop and a great honor, and a great tribute to Wayne that you guys have on this tour.
Man, it's all him. When you look at that, he was a Raider fanatic, and we were like, we got to do something that we were able to. Everybody knows, man. When you see it, it's like that's like the Raider logo, and with Wayne's.
He was kind of a pirate.
He was
a land pirate.
Wore those shades. He wouldn't go anywhere without those shades.
Yeah.
He almost fell out of the bus so many times wearing those things, going to stage.
Oh man. Yeah.
I don't know if I ever told you guys about this. I was talking to Paul Crosby about this a few weeks back, but I always thought Wayne was a little bit intimidating. And then I met him really where we actually hung out for the first time was when you guys played that Harley Davidson dealership here in Michigan. I want to say around 2017. And I think we were doing shots of Fireball or something like that. And then we just became friends.
That's how he was, man. He yeah, from a distance, yeah. How many times we'd be, you know, at a place and someone see him, they'd say, "Well, Rob Zombie showed up," you know.
Yeah. Yeah. He did have kind of a zombie kind of vibe. But
Yeah.
the neck tattoo though, he was kind of scary though, man. But then you know him, he's like the sweetest, like most down to earth person, like no ego. I mean, he was one of a kind, man.
And you know, in the 12 years that I knew him, like I never once saw him like in a confrontation, or he never said anything bad about anybody, man. People would say bad things around him and he would just like, yeah, and he would turn it positive, man. He never would like jump in and talk negative. It was that just shows you, man. He was always like, take the high road. And I learned a lot of that, I think, from him, man. Taking the high road in certain situations, especially in this industry, man. It's crazy. It's a tough industry, you know, at times, and people are always trying to take advantage of you and stuff like that. And you know, he always had a way. I think he was just wise, and he was, you know, older, and he'd been through all those years, I guess. But he was always honest and just a great person.
And one thing I think I'll never forget about Wayne is that laugh. I'll hear that laugh for the rest of the time.
Yeah. So many memories, man. Great memories. And
all of his sayings and things he would say are still like he's gonna come from the back lounge and say it to us. It's so weird. It's like that, you know, you look back there and he's not back there anymore. Because that was Wayne's world. It was like he had his own world in the back of the bus back there, you know, and now it feels pretty empty back there now, you know. It's kind of weird. So
we never had a single argument, he and I. Never, not one.
Yeah, he was a really easy guy to get along with. But like I said, when I first met him, or before I met him, I thought he was intimidating because you're right. He's got that big cowboy hat, it's always beat up, and his dark glasses and the tattoos and everything. And then all of a sudden you meet the guy, you're like, this is the guy that was kind of scary.
Yeah.
You know,
my friends said the same thing. They're like, he scares me. I'm like, he's the least scary person. You know what I mean? But it works. And on stage, he had that swag too, you know, where he's like a gunslinger up there, you know, and people were scared of him.
You can't teach that, man. He had that from day one, you know, so
Yeah, well, I'm glad that you guys had a chance to put out the record and stuff. Especially, you know, I mean, you know, even the video is kind of chilling when, you know, with that little opening paragraph about how it was filmed just before he died. So, I mean, it has to be tough going back and listening to this kind of stuff sometimes, or watching it, I imagine.
I haven't watched it.
Oh, you haven't? No.
I haven't seen it. Yeah. I mean, I know that that's there, but I was like, I just trusted the guy that edited it and stuff. And well, there was another version that we were going to do where he had a bunch of like B-roll stuff. And I said, just go with all the band stuff, man. I wanted it just to be as much of you Wayne as possible, and didn't want it to have B-roll stuff or any of that. So
now, Bobby, I know that you've been doing, you're in the midst of like doing other projects or so. Did any of the other stuff kind of bleed into the writing for this stuff?
Well, yeah, some songs. There were a few songs in particular that I didn't feel would fit, you know, and, you know, Wayne would hear them and he would be like, oh, dude, no, that's got to go on, or, you know, some things like that. He'd come to my house and we would write or work on stuff, and I would just play it for him and say, hey, what do you think of this? You know, and then that's how it would pan out. And I remember Come Back Stronger was like a song, an idea that I just kind of played and sung for him years ago, before we started working on this record, probably 2019. And I remember playing him the idea and seeing what he thought, and he was like, dude, the next record, it needs to be 12 of those. He's like, you know what I mean? That's the first song, that's the first track, that whole thing. And so I started kind of thinking about, you know, okay, maybe this is the direction. So, and just started writing and just trying to come up with, you know, a solid other 11 songs. But then when you have 3 years to kind of work with, we ended up with 34 songs.
Oh, so
pick.
there's more that will we ever see more?
I don't know, maybe. I don't know yet. We just got these now. I wanted to make sure the 12 that we had on here, it felt cohesive and just kind of blended, because some of the other songs we tried different things, or not that the songs weren't good, just didn't actually line up or got writer's block, or I went through a lot of that stuff through the 3 years of making it too. So
yeah. Brad, what are your thoughts on the album?
I love it, man. I think it's a great record. There's some stuff that's not typical of Saliva, which I think is healthy to move the band forward. I mean, we can't just keep making click, click, boom and always. And we already have those. We play those in the set. We know that the hardcore fans and really even fans that don't know the band that well are expecting to hear those. So, with this new record, it was kind of, for me, a breath of fresh air to have some, like the Comeback Stronger song is actually tuned to the lowest note is a B, so it's a little bit lower and heavier, more aggressive sounding, and not quite as not quite as typical as what you think of it. And then there's some songs though that are of course in the traditional vein of what Saliva has always kind of sounded like too on there too. So we didn't completely miss the exit by any means, so. But yeah, I'm digging it, man. I mean, it's kind of like, we call it uptown problems when you're trying to figure out which ones you are actually going to play and which ones are going to be released. And, so, I mean, that's better than only having one song that you can put out there that you believe in. We have 12 on this record, man, so it's one of those things where I feel like it's a strong record and it's going to move us forward. And Wayne's all over it. His solos, his vibe, his technique, his personality is all over it. And there was a bit of an irony to it that the song that was next in line was Come Back Stronger, and he passed, and then that song came back, and it was kind of like, wow, the band is still persevering. And although we're completely obviously devastated from his loss, to have him sort of in remembrance in that song and that video and on this record, it's been tough, but it's also feels good to honor him too,
Yeah, you talk about the band like coming back and stuff. You guys are in kind of like a peculiar situation where the original singer is still out there doing Josie Scott's live, and you guys are doing the Saliva stuff. But from what I understand, all you guys kind of get along.
It's a little bit, it's an interesting thing because, we've been doing this version of the band since Josie originally left 12 years ago. So we've kind of kept the fires burning, and put out new records and new music and stuff. So, it's an interesting situation that we're in now, to be quite honest. So we're just trying to figure out how to make it work for both parts of it. You know what I mean? Both versions of it, I should say.
Right. I think it's good that he's, trying to connect with fans and tour and play music. I mean, I think it's an awesome thing. He should have been doing it long ago. But I think what we're doing here is, we're just trying to do what Wayne would have wanted, and we're honoring Wayne. And this record was, I know how important it was to him, and and I think the world should hear it. And we're going out every night, we're playing songs from it, and this tour has been great, and it's been just overwhelmingly, the fans have been awesome, man. And even the messages that I get and stuff, I get these messages and from people, the fans, and it's awesome when someone's an old school Saliva fan and they're like, dude, Crows is the best song I've heard since Always, or whatever. And when you hear those things, you're like, man, they don't even sound like they're remotely in the same field. But it goes to show you that as a fan, they're not looking at it sounding identical to another song. It's the song touches them, and they're connecting with the song. I think that's important. That's all I try to do when I write songs. And these songs like Crows and High on Me, and they all have a story. And it's like, if I can connect with the one person, that means more to me than money or any of that stuff. That's why I do it.
Yeah, the reason I asked you earlier, some of the stuff does sound saliva-ish, I guess is how you say it. And some of it does sound like some of the stuff that you sent me in the past, not like exact songs, but just kind of remnants of it. You know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah, you're hearing some of those industrial elements that
Right.
some of that other stuff I sent you too, because I know Wayne was a huge Ministry, Nine Inch Nails fan, and he was always like, "Man, we tried to do the industrial stuff before, it just never worked. It never worked, or it never panned out." And I was like, "Man, we can do that. That's all. That's right up my alley. I love that stuff." So, we influenced some of that stuff on this record too.
Well, the record is out, Revelation. Of course, you guys will be in town next week. And you did bring up the Raiders thing, and it's kind of good that Wayne wasn't here to watch the game on Sunday.
Man,
we're doing a pool, man. So
hey, now we're
had the Lions, dude.
Oh, did you? Well,
right.
Hey, look at how that worked out for you. But yeah, let's really get to the crux of the matter here, Bobby. So you're obviously you guys are both football fans. So what are you thinking early on in the season here?
I'm thinking that the Jags just played the Super Bowl champions, man. I mean, I wanted to believe the Chiefs were going to come into Jacksonville and we were going to beat them. You couldn't have told me otherwise. The thing is, Patrick Mahomes, Kelsey, you get all those dudes on the field. They're Super Bowl champs for a reason. They're a hard team to beat. Not many teams know how to beat them. We clearly still don't know how to beat them. We know how to beat ourselves.
Yes, for sure. Yeah.
But do I think that we're going to absolutely blow the Texans out Sunday? Yes, I do. That's because, I felt like it was a closer game than, we didn't get blown out.
No.
And that's all I care about. Our defense played really, really good, man.
Yeah,
and the Lions look great. You got to be stoked. The Lions look awesome. I think we knew that would happen.
They find ways to shoot themselves in the foot. But that one play, I don't know how much you paid attention to the game, but the quarterback for Seattle dropped back and he threw looked like a timing pattern. And there was a miscommunication with the wide receiver, and he cut off the one way, and they gave him an intentional grounding call. And I'm like, what is going on here? And then he went up to complain about it, and the referee says, "I'm trying to talk to America here." Did you see that?
I saw that.
Yeah,
that was like, dude, that's amazing. Yeah. Give that referee a raise.
Right, exactly. I thought that was kind of a clever line where he's just trying to do his job and he's trying to talk to America.
I think that, here's the thing though, like the refs, it's 50-50, man. A lot of times they miss calls, they don't get calls right. And people, it can cost the game and it sucks. But I mean, they're the ones out there being paid to, officiate the games. And
that's what I'm talking about. I mean, that was clearly a timing pattern, and they're calling intentional grounding like they never watched a football game before. It just seemed really bad.
Right. I always thought the refs should throw flags when a receiver is trying to call for pass interference, when they run down and, it's like, if it wasn't pass interference, but yet it's all acting. They got to act, if they don't catch the ball, it's like, oh, let me try to get the foul, and play it off.
They got that in sports and hockey. You can't do that. If you pretend to trip over someone, they'll put you in the box.
Well, it's like telling the ref how to do his job. I mean, I'm surprised they don't get unsportsmanlike conduct calls for stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's coming.
When it's every down. It's like, come on, man.
It's coming. You watch it. Next 5 years, I guarantee you that'll be a penalty.
Yeah. A couple final things here for you, Bobby. This series you do with your daughter on Instagram and stuff. When did this all start?
Well, I started doing it on TikTok.
Okay, I don't have TikTok, but go ahead.
And so we actually shortly after Wayne passed, man, I had already been working with her on some stuff, and I had a friend of mine who had a high following on has a big following on TikTok. He was like, "Man, you got to be doing TikTok. You got to be doing," and I was like, "I don't even know what it is. I have no idea." Then finally, I was like, "Veda, let's just do something. Let's just post a video and see what happens." And so we did the Kill, just part of the Kill, 30 Seconds to Mars. Posted it, and it was like boom. My son comes in the next morning. He's like, Dad, you've got like 400,000 views on this in like 10 hours or something crazy.
Insane.
I was like, what?
Yeah.
And you could just like, when I opened my phone up or opened the app, it was just like comment, like. Everything was just so overwhelming. I could not like, I didn't know what to do, you know? So I was like, how about let's just post another one. And then we posted another one. And then it got to where her and I started just, you know, it's fun. You
It's
know,
kind of a cool way to bond with your kids like that.
100%, man. And you know, all I've been doing is working with her and trying to teach her how to do harmonies and things that I've worked with so many singers in the past doing production stuff, and most of them don't know how to sing harmonies, man, to their own stuff, you know. And so I would tell her, like, if you can sing harmonies to your stuff, that's good. So we just kind of teach her to do harmonies, and it's definitely helping her voice to become stronger. But dude, so many things. Jared Leto reached out, he reposted, you know, Mike from Linkin Park reached out, reposted.
That was awesome.
That's really
dude, I got bands that, you know, we'll do like Zombie, Bad Wolves, they message me. They're, you know, a lot of these bands that are well-known bands, I won't mention names, they hit me up. They like want us to cover one of their songs and put it out. And because on TikTok, a lot of bands and artists are trying to, that's the next thing.
Yeah.
You know, and I think it's maybe because the stream payouts is decent, but I don't know
No, I think it's really cool. I wish I could sing, and I would do it with my kids too, but I can't. And my kids don't talk to me anymore because they're 20 and 22. So,
oh man,
I'm just kidding. They talk to me. But anyway, so we'll see you guys this coming Monday here in Michigan. And by the way, Brad, just some comments on Wes from Puddle of Mud. No, I'm just kidding. You don't have to do that.
No, I love Wes, man. Come on. He's
just
kind of
trying to stir up the controversy. I'm just teasing you.
right?
No, man.
Blabbermouth. Brad Stewart says.
God. No, man. Wes and I go way back, dude. He, if it wasn't for Wes, I don't know if I'd be sitting here, man. He, you know, and you know, people have their ups and downs in this business and in their own personal lives with addictions and craziness.
You should tell the story though, because that story is good, and he should know the story about. Which a lot of people don't realize that Brad co-wrote.
Yeah,
Control.
Oh yeah, Control. Yeah,
50% of the song or whatever it is. And a lot of people know that because you tell them.
Well, now people are going to blame him.
Right.
It's not my fault. No, I was lucky enough to be flown out there when they were developing Wes and to audition, you know, for the band and you know, I you know, Danny Wimmer at the time, who puts on all the big festivals, was the A&R coordinator for Flawless Geffen, which was Fred Durst's imprint. So Fred and them, they found Wes and they wanted to build a band around him. So they flew a bunch of guys out, or 3 guys from Jacksonville out, and myself included, and Paul Phillips yeah. And T-Bone, Shane T-Bone Webb for the drum position. And those 2 guys actually made it, at least in the first part to the band or whatever. I was given a friggin' plane ticket home like 3 days later. They're like, take care, good luck. So anyhow.
How many years until you joined Shinedown?
Well, I met Brent, I want to say it was that next summer, because Control was out and it was charting and it was kind of like, it was doing really well. And I had a mutual friend, Pete Thornton, that knew Brent's A&R guy. So I was able to set up a writing session through them in Jacksonville. And because, you know, Brent was coming through.
They wanted to move to Florida.
They wanted to move him to Florida. So luckily from that, me writing that song, that led me to Brent. We wrote songs and formed Shinedown in Jacksonville. Jason Todd came along, and then finally Barry Kirch, and that led me to Fuel, and that led me to Saliva. So, you know, all over the place.
Well, I've told you that asshole's the only person to ever hang up on me in an interview, and I won't forget that. Trust me when I tell you. And it's
Who?
like,
which asshole? You gotta be more. Oh, Wes.
Wes?
Yeah. The only person to ever hang up on me in an interview for no reason at all. We've talked about this before, Brad. You know, it's like
I remember this story. I know this story. Yeah,
I'm not happy with that dude, and it's like, you know, and I always had his back, and I always stood up for him, and he was always nice to me, and to hang up on me like that for no reason at all really gets in my craw, you know.
Well, I'm wearing the Machine Shop, of course,
Okay.
shirt, and of course, you know, it made what was it, Loudwire or something, that I guess they're banned from the shop too. So that's, I don't know what he's thinking, man. He needs to get new management or something. I don't know. Or
I don't know. I don't know if it's management's problem, but I was just texting with Kevin, by the way. You guys know Kevin. He's so great.
Love Kevin Zink. Oh yeah.
No doubt
Known
about
him
it.
years.
So,
Yeah.
well, we'll see you guys coming up here, and I'm on vacation actually next week, but I'm sticking around one day just to hang out with you guys. All right.
Oh man, you rock, dude.
Dude, can't wait to
Love
see
you,
bro.
man.
All right. Thanks for not hanging up on me. I appreciate you guys.
Hey, what?